Welcome back to Mommas Who Lead, the podcast where motherhood meets leadership, purpose meets passion, and resilience meets real life transformation. And I'm your host, Laura Caroffino. And today we're diving into something so powerful that everyone needs to hear. What if the small, quiet things you are already doing are exactly what you need to move forward? And I have an incredible guest today. She's a dear friend of mine. She's the incredible Suzanne Krasnow. She's a writer, creator, Air Force veteran, and the powerhouse behind Warrior Angel Creations. Suzanne is showing us what it really means to rise, not with loud declarations, but with quiet courage. And she has a new book. It is called Put Your Shoes On. And it's not just a title, it's really a philosophy. It's a rally cry for anyone who's ever felt stuck, lost, or like small steps don't count. And you are just doing all the things trying to move forward. So if you ever brushed your teeth while crying, taken a shower just to feel human, or shown up for life when your heart wasn't in it, this episode's for you. So welcome, Sue. I am so honored to have you here today. How are you doing?
I am good. I am. And thank you for having me. I'm so excited to do this with you.
Me too. I'm just so excited to have you on here. Your story is just incredible. And for those who don't know, Sue and I go back years, and I'll let Sue kind of share this story, but we actually met in network marketing, and it is so fun. And we have also similar backgrounds. She's a veteran. I'm married into the military. So can you tell us a little bit about you, your background, and how you got to where you are today?
Ooh, that's a loaded question.
All right.
So it's been a journey, but when I was 17, I woke up one day and looked at my mom and said, college isn't for me, and I joined the Air Force. The only one in my family to do so. But I knew I would fail out of college because I was easily distracted. I needed structure. I needed something. So I joined the Air Force, and, when I joined in the 90s, there was nothing going on. And then 9/11 happened. And it was like, all right. And that became my whole adult life. And it's crazy because I started at 17 and I thought I was just going to do it for a couple years and be done. No, it became a lifelong journey for me, but it was something that fit me. I was really good at it. And then a medical procedure the Air Force required. Overnight, my life changed. I went from running marathons and deploying to I needed help to walk across the living room and eventually a wheelchair, and had to relearn how to walk again, relearn how to live, and find myself, because my whole identity was I'm an airman and I'm good at it. And now I can't do that. I can't do the mission. I can't do the job. And then it progressed from there. And that became the darkest part of my life. Like it got bad. And honestly, we joke about it now, but I mentally broke so hard. I probably should have been committed. I really should have been, but I had a great support system and I kept fighting. And then I found the company that we were together in, and I didn't know how desperately I needed that.
Yeah.
I needed the people, and I needed strong women, and I needed somebody just to say, you're okay. And I kept going, and it healed me. And then as I'm getting better, cancer. Because everybody wants to,
But knock you down when you're on your high, right?
right. So, but I can say I'm officially 6 months cancer free. And now I'm in my time.
Yes, you are.
And it's crazy how I can look back and go, I needed that moment where I fell apart so I could be strong enough for this moment.
Yes. When you were talking about like how difficult it was, what helped you mentally and emotionally navigate that transition from service member to civilian?
Oh, I think I'm still dealing with that.
Mm,
Um, because it's a camaraderie like nobody understands.
yes,
Like you literally have to look at the person to your left and right and be like, okay, I will die for you.
right,
And civilians don't understand that literally, it takes a village to get us all home. And when you lose that support system, especially when your world's falling apart, yes, you still have your veteran friends and everything, but your purpose is gone. Your support system, it's not as strong and it's debilitating. And I know that's part of the reason that I fell so hard was because I felt so lost and alone and I didn't want to burden anybody because all my friends were still active duty and I didn't want to mess up the mission because their minds need to be in the mission.
right.
And we do what we do. We just tuck our emotions away, put them in and plug through like we're trained to do, but it's almost to a detriment when you're on the outside looking in. And it took me a while to be okay, I have a different purpose and that's okay. That's where I'm supposed to be. But I also still have my veteran community. It's just in a different way.
Right.
And I think it's helping now that like my generation, we're all retiring. We're all getting old.
We're all old.
But but it helps because now I have a few more people that I can be like, "Hey, like, do you ever feel this way?" And they're like, "Yes, yes, I do." Because initially when all this happened, it was so sudden. I
Mm,
was at 17 years active. I was a senior NCO. So that's also you're already narrowing down the people that you can call on.
right.
And it was difficult because I couldn't say, "Do you understand what I'm feeling?" because they didn't, because they were still in. And now, and I didn't realize that I would become a person for those getting out as well, some medically, some just normal retirement. And I could tell them it's okay. Yeah, you're going to feel lost. That's okay. We all feel lost when we get out because we don't realize how much it becomes our identity.
Yeah.
It really does. And it's not a bad thing, but it can be.
It's like you had you in your mind, that was your purpose. And now you're
Right.
like, okay, now what do I do now? What is, because you're servant leaders. And so now you're like, who do I serve now? Like, what do I do? And I've come across that from many people who retired. And when my husband and I were kind of like navigating, like, do we retire? Do you stay in? Like, what are you going to do after? I'm like, I don't know. That's a scare. And we're looking at like the support. There's not a lot of support
Right.
for that. And how did you navigate that? Because you're also a mom too.
Right.
Like that's
Oh, and it was, and there's a line in my book that's one of my favorites. And I talk, I probably should have gone into it a little bit more than I did, but I talked about the fact that I became too much of a mom. Like I turned my purpose into my son,
Mm,
but it wasn't always a good thing.
that's
Like that was the only place I was just I cannot fail as a mother and I felt like I was failing as a mother because I was dealing with this transition myself. Mentally I wasn't healthy and physically I wasn't healthy. And so everything came about my son and like I know I overwhelmed him at times. And we've had conversations now. He's an adult, he's 21. And I'm like, I just want to say I'm sorry. And he's like, it's okay, mom. And again, mom guilt. You're just like, no, no, it wasn't. I could have done this better. But again, mom guilt. It's what we do. We look back and we go, oh, whoops, I should have done this differently. So I think I kind of downplayed it in the book and I didn't realize it till I read my final copy myself. And I was like, I could probably help a few moms with this because if our kids become our sole focus and we're not healing ourselves and we're not actually doing what we need to do for our kids,
yes.
have to heal ourselves and we have to be ourselves. Our whole identity cannot be our children. So
Correct.
glad I started getting better, but it took me time. And then especially with COVID when he was home, it was really hard not to just sit there and watch him do school all day.
Yeah. Yes, yes. Be like, oh, yes. They're like, Mom,
Right.
can you do something else, Mom?
Right.
I know what you mean, and that is hard. So, what would you say the hardest part of you think, I guess pretty much you're rebuilding yourself after this life-altering situation. What's that hardest part of rebuilding when you're trying to find your new identity now?
Letting myself,
Mm, yeah.
letting myself, because I felt so much guilt.
Mhm.
I felt guilty because my 5-year plan was gone. I felt guilty because all of my college degrees were basically worthless at this point. I felt guilty because I had no idea of what I wanted to do. And you have to take time for yourself to figure it out. And it was just, I let the guilt eat me alive and I would get stagnant.
Mm.
And then I would start to make little steps, you know, like when I realized putting my shoes on changed my mindset for the day, I would feel guilty about that. And I still don't understand completely why I did, but
Mm.
I was in such a depressive state that the guilt ate me alive.
Yeah. I I think your book is going to help so many people because it does. And, they may not be dealing with, the exact circumstances you were, but we go through these moments where life happens to us and we do need that small reminder to just freaking put your shoes on.
Right, right,
And it's going to get you one step forward. Because I've been
right.
in moments like that, especially the last 2 years. Like, thank you for the reminder to put my shoes on.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It's super hard. And so you definitely are very resilient. So, what exactly does resilience mean to you now compared to what maybe it meant to you 10 years ago?
Not letting yourself get stuck in the bad moment. You have to feel the bad moment. You have to experience it, but you have to move past it. And even if it's messy, even if it's just you got up and took a shower and put, normal clothes on versus staying in your pajamas all day, it's going to be those little things that give yourself permission to push through it.
Mm,
And it will be messy, and that's okay. But that's what makes you relatable,
mm,
especially like if you're like in the world we are, where we're on social media and we have a presence, be honest about it.
yeah.
Like, don't sugarcoat it. And that will, for me, it helped empower me to be like, okay, I'm going to show up, even if it's absolutely awful. And I've haven't moved from the couch in 2 days. I'm still going to show up and show you that, okay, so I didn't physically move today, but I journaled today. Or I cooked dinner. Like that became an extremely challenging task for me because it required standing. And before I got my strength back to actually not need my wheelchair and stand, our house wasn't equipped for a wheelchair. So I couldn't cook. So it was just allowing myself those little moments of, you did this. Okay, celebrate it. That's the other thing. I think we gloss past little things too much. And it's like, oh, you can only celebrate the big things. Oh, you can only celebrate when you got that whole book written or that you hit that goal. No, break it down into little chunks. Make it something you can do every day. Okay, I showed up. I posted on social media today. Win. Celebrate it. I got through this little thing. Go get yourself a cup of coffee. Celebrate the little things more. And then when the big moments happen, it's even better. because you celebrated the whole journey. So you have this whole experience to celebrate versus just, yay, I did this big thing. What happened? What?
Celebrate the milestones.
Yeah.
I love that. Now, you mentioned when you were in the wheelchair, you've during this time, you're incredibly creative and in just resilience. You don't like, I mean, you are the epitome of like someone who just doesn't give up. When something hits you, you're just going to keep going. I'm like, all right, next, what can I do? And so that led you to what start Warrior Angel Creations.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about that and how did this sewing become a lifeline for you?
It still is. So when I first got the wheelchair, that was very eye-opening. Like until you sat and watched the world from the view of a wheelchair, it's a totally different world. And you don't realize how challenging it is. You don't also realize how bumpy it is.
Yeah.
Like they say everything's wheelchair accessible. It's not. It is, oh God, it is not. It is not. It is, the world is very difficult to navigate via a wheelchair. You can do it. You learn how to do it because you have to. But the biggest thing for me was the chair I got issued, it didn't have any like sort of storage pockets, nothing. And carrying a purse was kind of awkward because the straps would get in the way when I was wheeling and like it would fall down on my shoulder. And I was like, there has to be a better way. And we were unpacking at the house we were at before now. And I found my sewing machine and was like, I wonder. I hadn't sewn in years. I grew up sewing. I love sewing, but it was a skill that I had just let go. And I had some fabric. It was the wrong fabric. Like everything about the very first ones was just awful. But I pulled it out and it gave me something to focus on because I wanted to stop dropping my keys and my phone. That
Mm.
was my big thing. And like the wheelchair I had has armrests. I still have my chair. Um, and a lot of chairs don't, but a lot of them do. So I was like, all right, I'm going to figure this out. And it took time. It really did because like a lot of what I do with it, like I had to get specialty tools for the grommets and like even just figuring out the straps. So it gave me something to focus on. But again, I was still in the time of my life where I hyper focused on things in a bad way. So it allowed me to hide and not deal with my problems, but it allowed me to start figuring out a problem. And I was like, I forgot how much I like doing this. Like, I love to deconstruct things and rebuild them or make things fresh. Like, I can't stand using patterns when I sew. I'll start and then I deviate. I never stay on them.
Oh, you're
So,
super creative.
and I think part of that is the challenge that I like to sew, but I also like the creating part of it a
Yeah.
lot. And there's a quote. I can't think of the movie. Robots. Find a need, fill a need.
Oh yeah, I
One
love
of my favorite quotes.
it is.
And that just kept cycling in my head and I didn't listen to it right away. And I was like, oh. And then I ran into somebody at Walmart and they're like, where'd you get that? I'm like, I made it. They're like, we all need those. Oh. And then I went to an appointment with the VA and they're like, where'd you get that? I'm like, I made it. They're like, you need to start selling these. And I was like, all right. Had no idea what I was doing. You know, I was a cop. I don't know anything about selling.
Oh boy, did you learn?
Oh, did I learn? And, you know, I'm still learning Etsy. Etsy's a whole, woof. So I started my Etsy and all of a sudden it was like, oh, you got a sale. Oh, wait, what? What? And I still, that's still one of the things I do. And I enjoy it. And I like solving problems with fabric. So that's how Warrior Angels came about. And like I said, when it first started, and I talk about it in the book, I hyper focus too much on things. I probably have ADHD. Probably.
I do. I do. I'm like, I see one thing. I'm like, oh, scroll all over.
Right. So that became, you know, my first toe back in the world was that. but I was still able to hide. But I still enjoy it. I mean, I'm looking around my office now and there's fabric everywhere.
I know you got some fun fabric prints. I just love seeing like you when you're doing your stories or your reels and you're showing your new fabrics, and they're so fun with.
Oh, there's some great fabrics out there. I get a lot of mine from England now, and the Brits are wild.
Yes, yes, for sure. Okay, so now you've created Warrior Angels Creations, and then tell me how this little world of direct sales that probably catapulted you out of your shell to the spotlight.
People think I'm joking when I say direct sales saved my life.
Yeah.
It did. It did. Because, like I said, I was hyper focused. I was still self-isolating. I used the excuse, oh, I have to sew. I can't be around people. But I was still extremely depressed. At this point in time, I had a shrink I was seeing, and I still see her. But I wasn't facing any of my problems yet. And like my mom was so frustrated with me at this point, and she's like, no, you are coming out. You are getting out of the house. You are getting dressed. You're getting out of the house. And I walked into this craft fair, and I will never forget that walk because I wasn't paying attention, nothing. My mom drugged me back to this booth, and all I heard was this laugh. I was like, who is that? And it was this amazing woman who is still one of my best friends. And she was just so infectious and full of life. And she was showing this crazy product. And I was like, that might work for me. Because I was still struggling. Like I was in the military for almost 20 years. You really don't get a chance to be girly. So I never had my playtime in my 20s of learning my style and nothing like that. And there was no color. And I mean, the regulations were so regimented. I'm like, now I'm blown away by the things they can wear and do. And I'm like, what? What's my put your hair up?
I can see the flyaways. You need to smooth that back a little bit.
Right. And I was just, it was, I didn't realize how powerful that moment was going to be and how much that moment was going to change my life. And so I started playing with nail polish and started talking to this person. And then I was like, why not? Like, I got nothing else going on. And that moment changed my life because I found me. I gave myself permission to heal.
Mm-hmm.
I started showing up. I started learning from like you and other leaders on our team. And I just started to have fun again. And we really did have such an amazing community. I know there's, a lot of, oh, it's toxic. Oh, it's this. No, we were blessed. We were blessed. We had the most amazing team.
Good.
And we're all still friends.
Mm.
Even though a bunch of us are no longer doing it, we're all still friends. We're all still, consider each other family. And I started to just have fun again. And then it opened up the door for traveling and, just showing up with intention.
How many places did you get to go? I can't remember.
3. Yes, 3. Yeah. Which was awesome.
And then you were always at the conferences.
Yeah. Yeah. And
international travel and
yeah. I mean, so I will forever support direct sales because it can be life-changing if you let it be.
Mm-hmm.
If you let it.
Yes. It's not easy.
No.
And it doesn't happen overnight.
No.
But I think with like any business, you're going to have to work it. Like sales don't just come to you. You have to cultivate that. And that's where I think a lot of people get that misconception whenever they hear direct sales, network marketing, MLM, and they get this in this mindset because they don't fully understand it, or they think they dabbled in it, but they really didn't. They bought a kit and did nothing with it, or posted a couple of times on social, and that just doesn't work.
No,
But it can change your life. Like, and you meet incredible people. Like, I met you through this.
right,
And I mean, having you in my life is such a blessing, and just learning from you and the incredible things you've done and are continuing to do. I mean, we're friends for life. Like,
right,
I just adore you. So I'm very, very blessed for that industry.
right back at you.
So what would you say that this chapter in direct sales taught you about connection and confidence?
Hmm. That one, it takes time. You're not going to immediately get the connection. You're not immediately going to get the confidence. But the more you show up and the more you become a student of sales, marketing, social media, all of that, you can open the world to a whole new, open your world to a whole new world that you didn't even know was there, between the support and just finding people that truly want you to succeed. And I think we as women get so competitive that it gets toxic. And if you find the right community, it's not. And you will grow from it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So they had you. So now you're doing all this stuff. You're traveling. You're selling now. You're not hiding, just sewing. You're
Yep.
out and about. So what would you say that this has taught you, or what has taught you the most about, because you've been doing all this when some things have been happening in your life, right?
Oh, yeah.
And you got your first diagnosis during this period too, why things are going really well, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I got diagnosed with cancer. It was 2 weeks before a conference. And I almost quit everything. Like I reverted to habit and it got very dark. But again, this team saved my life because they're all like, no, your ticket's bought, your hotel's everything's done. You're coming. You need friends. You
Okay.
need family. You need love. You need support. And old me didn't have that when I first got sick. So I had, like, when I first retired from the military, I didn't have that. And, but I needed that time to learn about myself, to grow my own internal confidence, to believe in myself, so that when this next challenge came and I started to revert back, I needed those people to be like, hey, remember you did this already once. Come here, come here. And so I went to conference. And that was when I actually felt ready to start my cancer battle. And at that point, I didn't realize how bad it was because I thought it was just a single tumor on my neck. It wasn't. I was literally full of cancer from my neck down to my thighs. And if I hadn't had that refresh with them at conference, I would not have survived that appointment when they went, yeah, see, it's kind of everywhere. And this is really bad. Oh. So I needed them and I needed all of you and I needed those moments of I just need a hug. And I didn't have that before, but like I said, getting sick the first time by myself, basically, I needed that strength to get through this moment. Didn't know it then. But
The thing I would say, like when you went to that, I still remember just when I first saw you, just hugging you. Like,
Mhm.
I don't think yeah, like it was,
None of us had processed it yet. It was like,
no,
wait, what?
I know. It was just so crazy. And then whenever, you kind of hit, you're like, oh my gosh, is this real? And
Right.
then, when all the leader, they were calling me and telling me we've got to pray for Sue. Like this is bad. And we're like, no, this cannot be. This cannot
Right.
happen, right?
I was like, God, damn it. I did everything. I'm not supposed to, not again. Not again, but life.
No, you've got a powerful message that, and that's why it's everything keeps happening to you to prevent you from doing it. But you're resilient and you are meant to share it. And so all of this is just making you stronger and stronger. Um, what would you give advice to someone who feels like, maybe they have nothing to offer or, maybe this stuff keeps happening to them? Like, what would you say to them to get through this?
I would recommend one, that they reflect. And journaling's a big thing for me. If I hadn't have journaled, one, the book wouldn't have happened. But two, I would not have seen the lessons or the tools I was learning that I needed for the next chapter. And it's awful in the moment. It's it will be the worst thing you've ever been through. But there's a reason you're going through it. And I know everybody hates that, but there really is. There's a reason you're going through it. You are going to learn from it if you let it, and reach out and get help if you need it. And I don't care what help it is if it's, your clergy, if it's an actual professional, if it's a hotline, something, reach out, because that may be the moment you need just to pull you back, to make you go, I got this. I can get through this moment. And find the little things you do in your life that give you power. For me, it was literally putting my shoes on to walk from one side of my house to the other to go to work. Find something where you can do it every day and remind yourself you're still here. You're here for a reason. You have a purpose. And then, if on the other note, if you have an idea, there's a reason. That may not be the idea that ultimately comes to fruition, but explore it, learn about it, from my sewing, from learning how to write a book. Like, that book was 2 years in the making, but I watched a lot of YouTubes. If there's a reason you have that idea, and it's going to bring you to your next step.
I love it. So when did you realize that, oh, I'm going to wait. As we're talking about this, sorry, I'm going to backtrack a little bit, but and you've already mentioned a couple of these things, but how do you support your mental health as both, going through this major traumatic life circumstances and then also being a creative and a leader on top of that? How do you support your mental health?
I let myself cry. That, honestly, I didn't know how to do that. I did not know how to let myself feel.
Mm.
And journaling was a huge thing for me. It still is. I have journals it drives my family nuts. I have journals everywhere, even in the car. Like, I will pull over something and I will write it down, because it needs to get out for some reason. I may not always know why, but it needs to get out. And that's my way of getting it out. Ask for help if you need it, from whoever you feel the most comfortable with.
Mm.
There is somebody in your life that is there and will help you. You may not think there is, but there truly is. You'd be surprised. It still shocks me to this day who was there and who wasn't.
I hear that.
Yeah.
When I had my little medical scare years ago, that's one thing I remember looking back, who was there and who wasn't.
It's eye-opening.
It is. The people who you think would be there weren't. And people you least expect it were like the ones showing up every day for you.
Yep.
And it is. And you don't realize it until you're in that situation, but it is eye-opening.
Very. And it was interesting. I've been through enough seasons of my life with this, all of my journeys. there is only two people who've been there the entire time. Who shows up each time was different. And that's okay. Because everybody's got stuff going on in their life, but it's very eye-opening and it will change.
Yeah. Oh, when did you realize that just showing up was enough?
I've never been able to pinpoint the exact day, but I know it was after I joined direct sales and I started getting messages of, you see me, you understand me. And I wasn't doing anything special. Like nothing was pretty, nothing was polished. If the reel went up, it was completely awkward and cringy, but it was those real moments where somebody reached back out and said, I needed that today. You see me, you get me.
Mm.
And we're all so alone right now, even with social media. I think social media actually makes us more lonely. So being as real as possible helps.
Yes. Yep. And it doesn't have to be pretty and polished. I think that's where a lot of people kind of freeze and
Yeah.
they're afraid to because they think it's not perfect yet. But they have this incredible message and they're just keeping it to themselves instead of
Yeah.
sharing it to help those that need it. I know a couple yours, I'm just like, I needed that today, Sue. I loved it. Now, what chapter of your book was the hardest to write, but most necessary to share?
Admitting how far I fell, that how it was before the direct sales and how depressed I truly was. So many people are like, but you seemed fine. Like, no, you don't understand. Like, if you knew the thoughts that were in my head, be amazed I'm still here.
Mm. I'm glad you're still here.
Me too.
Very glad. I think that's a lot whenever we put on this mask for social that nobody really truly knows what's going on unless you really share it. And we're so good at hiding.
Well, it wasn't even just social media. Like, there was people who in my life that are not on social media and saw me almost every day, and they had no idea how far I had fallen.
Mm. I'm glad you were able to get back and be who you are now.
Yeah. Well, and I want people to realize I'm not perfect every day. I still have days where I'm like, and I criticize myself and the imposter syndrome and everything comes in, and I still have to take days where I go for a walk and I'm like, you are enough. Just the way you are right this moment, you are enough. So it's not like I'm magically better. No, I just have tools and I use them now.
Mm. Is there any lie or one lie that you had to stop believing in order to heal?
That I'm allowed to become a different person.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Especially because you have so many people that will be like, but you've changed. Yes, I needed to. And they don't like that.
And I find that those people were meant just for that season that you were in.
Yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that is good. All right. Now, if you could whisper one truth into every one of our listeners right now, what would it be?
Life's hard, but you're tougher.
Oh, yeah. I love it. It's so true. Phew, I don't know about you, but I'm like taking deep breath after that one. Sue reminds us that small things aren't small at all. They are evidence that we're still here, still moving, and still becoming. You don't need a big bang moment to claim your transformation. Sometimes it's about putting on your shoes, literally, and doing it again tomorrow. Now, Sue, your story is incredible, powerful, and it's a reminder that leadership isn't always bold or visible. Sometimes it's sewn into the seams of a handmade bag, and sometimes it's found in the quiet decisions to show up when no one's watching. Just thank you so much for being here today with us. Is there anything else you would love to share with our listeners before we sign off?
Just remember you're enough. You are enough. And thank you for this opportunity.
Oh, I'm honored to have you here. You have an incredible story. And for those of you that are listening, pick up Sue's book, Put Your Shoes On. It's available on Amazon. Is it on your website too?
Yes.
Okay. And what's your website?
SuzanneKrasnow.com. SuzanneKrasnow.com.
Okay. So, and you can connect with her on Facebook. Do you have Instagram?
Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok.
And TikTok. Okay. Great. And connect with her there, get to know her story. At Mommas Who Lead, we believe your story matters, especially the chapters that feel ordinary, because those are moments where strength is born. And just be sure to grab Suzanne's book, Put Your Shoes On, and follow her journey at Warrior Angel Creations as well. And if today's conversation moved you, please share this episode with another woman who needs to hear it. And you're already doing more than you know. So keep growing, keep leading, and keep believing in what is possible. All right, that is it.